Another self-destructive and occult-related activity that has been popularized by rock music is drug abuse. It is stating the obvious to say that drugs are everywhere in rock, from the ravaged bodies of the stars to the lyrics of their songs. The Beastie Boys' best-selling album Licensed to Ill, for example, contains over 90 references to drugs and alcohol abuse. What is not as well known, however, is drugs' connections to the spiritual realm. Psychotropic or mind-altering substances are viewed by sorcerers and others involved in the occult as a gateway or a guide into the spirit world. The Greek word in the scriptures for sorcery, in fact, is pharmakia, from whence we get our words pharmacy or pharmaceuticals. In other words, drugs. The reason God hates the misuse of drugs and connects it with the judgment of hell is because their use is a form of sorcery. The high that is drugs' primary attraction is unquestionably a spiritual experience, one that opens the user up to the spirit world. This trend-setting song by the Beatles was originally titled The Void. Its purpose was to proclaim the gospel of enlightenment through drugs, while simulating the sensory effects of LSD. The first line of the song was taken directly from the Bible of the acid cult, Tim Leary's The Psychedelic Experience. The problem is the Holy Spirit will not respond on this level. Like the chaste woman of Proverbs who personifies wisdom and the revelation of divine truth, God will only appear to the one who seeks Him in righteousness. It is the harlot Satan who spreads himself before the individual who is high on drugs. And you can be sure that much of the proliferation of occultism within rock and roll finds its genesis in precisely this way. Ex-Beatle George Harrison explains the origins of his Krishna consciousness. When I was younger, with the after effects of the LSD that opened something up inside of me in 1966, a flood of other thoughts came into my head which led me to the yogis. Likewise, a rock magazine described The Cure's Robert Smith's creative process as follows. He often comes up with his most macabre ideas for songs in the nightmares he experiences while sleeping off alcoholic binges. The entire album, The Head on the Door, was written under those conditions. Over the years, the Grateful Dead have become almost synonymous with marijuana and LSD use. A national newspaper described the uncanny fascination they inspire in their devoted fans. For many of the camp followers, the Dead are a religion and their lyrics a Bible. It is generally accepted that the Dead are tapped into some profound LSD-inspired truth. Not surprisingly, some hallucinating Deadheads have weaved weird and elaborate theories about God and the universe from strands of Grateful Dead lyrics. It's not surprising because the Dead themselves have acknowledged this drug-induced transcendence. As Captain Tripp's Jerry Garcia said in their biography, Playing in the Band, "I can't deny that there's a moment when I'm transformed, when all of a sudden God is speaking through my strings." As many rock artists like Garcia have entered middle age, they've had to break their addictions to drugs in order to survive. A few have recorded testimonials for RAD, Rock Against Drugs. A classic case of too little, too late. For most, their warning cries sound hollow.
We don't need drugs, we got rock and roll.
Yeah.
Rock and roll's our high. Yeah.
How can you be against something that your philosophy and lifestyle give rise to? For example, Bon Jovi has done a spot for RAD while maintaining their hedonistic message. And their powerful hit video, Wanted Dead or Alive, contains a not-so-subtle endorsement for the most abused drug of all, alcohol.
Sometimes you tell a day by the bottle that you drink.
Ultimately, comedian and rock devotee Sam Kinison's criticism of Rock Against Drugs says it all. It's like Christians against Christ. Rock created drugs.